From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
By way of previewing America's largest inland city, we may commence with this panorama from the observation tower of the Board of Trade, Chicago's tallest building. Less than 140 years ago, such a view would have disclosed only a log fort and a few cabins at the mouth of a muddy river. When gold seekers were rushing to California, Chicago boasted a few business blocks and streets of bottomless mud. Now, with nearly 3.5 million residents, the city has become the second largest center of population in the Western Hemisphere. Such growth reflects Chicago's location, midway between the agricultural West and the industrial East. It is the consequence of great industrial enterprises, great mercantile institutions, and the great markets for grain and livestock, which are all the inevitable consequences of Chicago's geographical location. Part of the city's need for rapid transit has been met for many years by the elevated railroad, which is soon to be replaced by a subway in the Loop area. When Chicagoans speak of the Loop, they refer to the central business section of the city, which is enclosed on all four sides by tracks of the elevated railway. Within the Loop along State Street is the richest and busiest retail trading area in the country, and the location of Marshall Field's and other famous department stores. Along LaSalle Street in the Loop is a great concentration of banking and brokerage offices. Here is a greeting for a celebrated visitor. The Chicago Board of Trade has become the world's principal grain market. Certain office buildings are devoted principally to special kinds of business. This one, for example, houses a great number of insurance agencies, while much of its street floor is devoted to the city ticket offices of several railroad lines. Although Chicago today is the world's greatest railroad center, that fact does not diminish its importance as a freshwater port. The site of Chicago's founding was the shore of Lake Michigan, and its 29 miles of lakefront today present a magnificent vista of landscape parks and impressive buildings. Looking westward from the lake, we see the city's towering skyline as it rises above the gleaming facade of Michigan Boulevard. Among Chicago hotels are names associated with a long tradition of gracious hospitality. A number of the newer structures are located on the lake shore, both in the central part of the city and in the residential areas to the north and south. Virtually in Chicago's front yard is the magnificent Buckingham Memorial Fountain. Its 134 jets support its claim to be the world's greatest fountain. Centrally located on Michigan Boulevard is the Art Institute with its magnificent statuary, paintings, and ceramics. The Civic Opera Building just west of the Loop provides unsurpassed facilities for famous opera companies and concert artists. Navy Pier is the terminus for Great Lakes passenger liners, and its vast enclosed area houses seasonal exhibitions of interest to sportsmen, yachtsmen, and other lovers of the out-of-doors. Summer evenings find thousands facing the bandshell in Grant Park to enjoy popular free concerts. Likewise, within reach of the lake breezes is Soldiers Field, the tremendous arena which accommodates vast audiences for sporting events, military displays, and such spectacular demonstrations as fire and police shows. Institutions adjacent to the heart of the city include the famous Adler Planetarium with its astronomical displays, the Field Museum of Natural History, which maintains unique exhibits of animal habitat groups, natural resources, and prehistoric specimens. Here is the Shed Aquarium, which displays some 10,000 species of marine life, including brilliant tropical fish, the walking fish of Africa, and various strange creatures from the deep sea. Stands this replica of old Fort Dearborn, somewhat south of its original location. Here, within a log stockade, may be seen the blockhouses, powder magazine, trading post, and living quarters characteristic of the time of the city's founding in 1803. But this is a big city, and we can't expect to see Chicago in terms of the Loop and the lakefront alone. To cover a wider territory, we may make use of the L, or of the networks of trolley and bus lines which supplement it. A number of the bus services follow the route northward along Michigan Boulevard and the lakeside parkways. What is called the near north side does not begin, however, until we have crossed the Chicago River virtually at the point where Fort Dearborn was built and the original trading posts and settlement were established. This bridge, which may be open to accommodate ships, has a lower roadway for commercial traffic. Not far north of the river stands the old water tower, a landmark and relic of the Great Fire of 1871. On the north bank of the river, almost at the site of the old Wolf Point trading post, is the largest building in the world, measured in terms of floor space. There are, of course, numerous bridges. By this waterway, which provided the nearest access to the headwaters of the Mississippi, the fur traders of long ago launched the traffic which was destined to build a great city. Today, great ships come to Chicago from all the Great Lakes region, and in time of peace, even from overseas. On the river and on the lake beyond, Chicagoans carry on their commerce, and in summer enjoy numerous water sports. However, to enjoy the waters of Lake Michigan, and there's ample testimony to this fact in the thousands who make use of Chicago's miles of lakefront and the numerous well-guarded bathing beaches. Here, on warm days from spring to autumn, residents of the city and visitors alike seek the white sands and the blue waters. The swimming areas are so extensive that crowds are seldom excessive unless the weather is abnormally warm. Beautifully landscaped parks in every section of the city afford the refreshment of broad lawns and great trees and the quiet waters of lagoons. Here visitors may organize picnics or dine somewhat more luxuriously in a nearby pavilion overlooking the water. And there are rowboats for those who consider yachts too adventurous. In Lincoln Park, one may find numerous specimens of native wildlife, and at the Chicago Zoological Gardens in suburban Brookfield is one of the finest collections in the world. To name the specimens which attract so many thousands of visitors to the zoos would add little to their fascination, but it may be interesting to see how many of them we can identify from our own observation or sheer guesswork. Attractive drives. Among these is the Garfield Park Conservatory, where magnificent floral displays are arranged at appropriate seasons. The exhibits, of course, will vary almost from week to week, but this splendid display of orchids affords an example of the way in which botanical experts of the Chicago Park system have contrived to develop rare and beautiful tropical flowers under difficult conditions. Here, too, are the restful still waters of a lagoon, which in winter becomes a safe and popular resort for skaters. Recreation buildings provide for other forest preserves, which serve an ever-increasing number of equestrians. Jackson Park, extensive and beautiful, was the scene a half-century ago of the world-renowned Columbian Exposition, which commemorated the 400th anniversary of America's discovery and signalized Chicago's recovery from the devastating fire of 20 years before. The Japanese gardens are a legacy to the city from that exposition. Inviting drives, which are part of Chicago's famous chain of boulevards, lead us through the park with its many beautiful scenic views. En route, we pass the famous Museum of Science and Industry. The building houses exhibits in the fields of physics, chemistry, agriculture, textiles and forestry, mineral industries, and transportation. So many of these are important in Chicago's relation to the Western country that we may well consider something of their significance. From the groves and vineyards, ranches, and vast truck farms of California and the Southwest, fast trains bring an infinite variety of produce through the mountains and across desert and prairie country to the markets of Chicago and the East. Transportation, regarded as both a science and an industry itself, links other sciences and industries in practical utility to man. It carries to market all the products of the great Southwest and makes Western scenic wonders easily accessible for travelers who must go to see what cannot be brought to market. Coal is still the principal fuel of both transportation and manufacturing industries, and coal mines must be accessible to railroads if their output is to be delivered economically to the places where it will be used. Facilities for handling the products of forest, mine, and factory must be modern and efficient to coordinate with the efficiency of the modern railroad. A vital objective of that efficiency, of course, is maximum safety, best attained by a completely dependable block signal system. Now, all of this demonstration of practical railroad operation has taken place, in case you haven't already suspected it, in the Santa Fe Railroad display in miniature at the Museum of Science and Industry, where industry and science may be seen in operation as they really are. Nearby is the University of Chicago. Here, in consequence of the generosity of John D. Rockefeller and the liberal gifts of wealthy Chicagoans, together with wise leadership, one of America's foremost institutions of learning has grown up. More than broad acres, more than impressive architecture in the traditional Gothic style, the University of Chicago is an aggregation of able teachers, distinguished for their achievements in fact as well as their explorations in theory, and eminently successful in stimulating student minds. In winter as well as summer, residents and visitors to Chicagoland enjoy the beauties of the Cook County Forest Preserves, aggregating more than 33,000 acres in 44 different tracts of woodland. These areas are kept as nearly as possible in their natural state, and they provide abundant opportunities for out-of-doors recreation. With warm summers and brisk winters, both tempered in a measure by the nearby lake, Chicago enjoys all the advantages of the true temperate zone climate. The familiar snow sports of children are supplemented by skiing in the hillier country to the north, while ponds and lagoons in parks and forest preserves provide excellent, safe skating. Now suppose we have a look at some of the commercial activity upon which so much of Chicago's livelihood depends. The Union Stockyards are the largest in the world, and the great amphitheater nearby is the scene of the International Livestock Exposition, which has been such an influential factor in stimulating the breeding and scientific feeding of improved meat animals. The stocky, white-faced Herefords here may have come from a Middle Western farm or from some Western ranch to supply the great Chicago packing houses. Transportation by modern freight trains on fast schedules is a factor of the greatest importance in this business. Competition in the livestock shows accounts for the high quality of steers and pigs. Chicago is also one of the world's greatest produce markets, drawing a very large merchandise from the irrigated lands of the Southwest and from the Pacific coast. Vineyards, now coming at last to claim their true place in the worldwide scheme of things, produce wines equal to the famous vintages of Europe and table grapes of unsurpassability. Shipped in refrigerator cars under carefully controlled temperatures, California grapes reach the Chicago market in prime condition and find prompt sale to waiting buyers. This is still another example of the importance of the railroad in developing a great market. Grapes, however, account for only a tiny fraction of the total business transacted in the famous Southwater Market, center of the wholesale produce business of Chicago. Here, hundreds of carloads of fruits and vegetables are received and sold every day by commission merchants who compete for the business of wholesalers, hotels, restaurants, and grocers. In this area is concentrated the fundamental necessary business of feeding the city and its many outlying communities. Fast transportation is vital to the great mail order houses, whose growth and success have so closely paralleled the city's progress, for their business has always been dependent upon their ability to make prompt delivery of almost anything a buyer can want. Now we go afield again to one of the tracks which participate in Chicago's annual 5-month season of horse racing. Each of the tracks is in operation for 1 month, and all of them are readily accessible for those who enjoy following the races. Unless you've plunged on a tip straight from the feed box, it won't matter a great deal which horse wins. There'll be other races to follow, and they all add up to a lively, pleasant afternoon at the track. Golfers report their delight at the great number of excellent golf courses available to the public throughout the Chicago region. Some are maintained in city parks and forest preserve areas, while a wide variety of others are open on a fee basis and attract enthusiastic patronage. Baseball fans who visit Chicago are assured abundant opportunity for lively enjoyment, for this is the home of famous teams in both the National and American leagues. Almost any day in the season you'll find things happening at the White Sox or the Cubs Park. There's excellent fast transportation to both ballparks from downtown Chicago, and the promise of top-notch baseball when you get there. As for the game, well, any fan can tell this story for himself. At Northwestern University in Evanston, immediately north of Chicago, the football season is certain to see a succession of brilliant games. Or, of course, without the necessity of having attended a game at all, the visitor may crave a sample of Chicago's nightlife. One recognized center for diversion of this kind is Rush Street on the near north side, just north of the Chicago River. Here are numerous well-known restaurants and nightclubs, while the principal theaters and several famous hotels are situated within the loop. Whether it's a nightclub, a theater, or a motion picture that suits you best, you're sure to find the entertainment you're looking for in Chicago. Apart from such familiar diversions as these, there are likely to be special events at various arenas throughout the city. A boxing tournament, perhaps, indoor polo games, hockey, or a spectacular ice show. things Americans enjoy most, things to study and too exciting to miss, and the memory lingers on.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.